Hello, everyone, and welcome to podcast number 20. So, we'll start off with Tammy again. If you are tuning into this one rather than the previous one, um, you're crazy. But in number 19, we went over overpowered characters that we've played before, and we're going to continue that in this episode. So, Tammy, you can go over yours first.
So continuing with the White Wolf system, which we explained in number 19, I have another werewolf character. Oh my god, shocking. His name is Azlenbeck. Azlenbek. Translates to lion. Which works for what he was. He was considered a white howler. Their totem was a lion.
Yeah. It's actually something that I chose for Tammy. I was going to make fun of Tammy's naming processes. As you can see, they are a lot longer and crazier. But to be fair, I actually think I named him for the most part. I had named my character Rustlin.
Yeah.
And I wanted Tammy's character to be very similar to mine. So I was going to get Tammy to call hers Aslan. And Tammy did not want to call her Aslan because it's the lion from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And
I think his is Aslan or something.
It was very similar. So Tammy was like looking up stuff that was very similar still, and she found that one. And she's like, okay, no, this works. It still has the same meaning. It still works, but it's not the exact same.
Yeah, it has that little extra on it, which kind of differentiates it. But so pretty much the character is part of a twins.
With my character.
Yeah. And
I'm not the GM in this one.
Nope. In this case, my character, when you become a werewolf, you're not bit or anything. It's how you're born. And in this case, we both had this, since we were twins, obviously we had the same parents, but I had the X factor that made my character the werewolf, whereas Rob's character did not.
It's the concept that, like, in White Wolf, at the very least, you as a werewolf, have a percentage chance of having a werewolf child. If they're not a werewolf child, they're kin. Kin meaning that they have werewolf blood in them and can have werewolf children, but they are not werewolf themselves. It is unusual for twins to be separate, but we wanted to go with it, and our GM was pretty much fine with it. We both have white hair, and we're both
got piercing blue eyes.
Yeah, which is a trait that our great, it's a very large number.
Great to the whatever nth degree.
Grandfather has.
One of the original White Howlers.
Yes. He is the husband of Gangrel. So theoretically, Gangrel is our grandmother. In Generations of Great. So, and actually, in that campaign, my character is actually a fourth generation Gangrel turned by her. And Tammy is, at one point, was taught by our our ancestral, that's the word we're using, ancestral grandfather.
He didn't like the number of greats we were using.
Yeah, because we have eidetic memory, and we're both highly intelligent. So we were actually like figuring out the actual number and going with it, and they didn't like that too much. So we started going with ancestral. I think the reason that one became so mean, which I'll let you continue, is because most White Wolf werewolves can become quite mean, but they usually die in combat beforehand. The problem is that Tammy's character just kept rolling too many successes on things that should have killed her.
Aslenbeck was like a super tank. So, they were from Scythia, which was kind of like between Russia and I don't remember. It's Europe.
Ukraine. It's above. Actually, it was more near where Ukraine is.
Yeah.
Above Turkey.
Yeah. So,
Also, I'm gonna have to pause this for a second. My alarm is about to go off.
so they started their adventure by traveling the Silk Road and kind of developing a good trade route. And he was pretty powerful at that point. He would literally him and
You were a rune.
yes.
They're based off of moon phases. There's a bunch of them, but runes are full moon,
Yes.
and they're the ones that get the most angry and aggressive, usually.
They're known as the warrior caste, pretty much. They have like a thief caste, shaman caste, storyteller, healer, and I can't remember if there's another one or not.
But my character rode horseback. You rode horseback too until you actually had to get into combat and you jumped down. You'd prefer to be in your fluffy form, where I was a pretty decent archer. I remember that as a rite of passage before we actually were allowed to go on the Silk Road, we had to actually prove that we, could actually do something. And we went to go rescue a bunch of werewolves, and I was the only kinfolk, non-werewolf basically, to go, and I killed 2 werewolves.
I can't remember how many I killed on that one, but it was definitely more than 2. Pretty sure I did the bulk of it. But he literally was just a claw machine. Just massive.
In the movies, it's a theory I had at least. In the movies, you always see like a werewolf bite a human and the human will turn. In White Wolf, one of the rites of passage to become a werewolf is when you become around 13, they will take you out in the wilderness and they will actually chase you as werewolves. It's to force you to turn for the first time. Because the fact that if you are going to turn, stress and desperation and fear are some of the major things that actually help you turn. So I think that in the movies, a lot of the times when the person's like, oh, I was bit by a werewolf and became one, I think they were actually werewolves. They were kinfolk who were actually, had werewolf 100% in them, but just had not awakened it yet. Nothing in their life had stressed them out enough for them to turn. And then being bitten by the werewolf had stressed them out. So anyway, it was really weird in that campaign. Tammy was the leader of our pack. I was her second in command. But I did a lot of the talking because my character was really good with languages. And Tammy's character didn't do a lot of talking for a large period of time. Until Tammy got a gift, which is basically the werewolf equivalent of disciplines. Except they're more like traits. And you can get a lot of them. Like abilities, I guess. And one of them was the ability to speak any language.
You just have an accent when you talk.
Which my character didn't.
Yeah. But they definitely had a lot in their adventures. They went all the way to China, in which I got to learn meditation. Yeah. A character that pretty much is a complete bundle of energy, almost has the equivalent of attention, ADHD pretty much. Almost. Literally doesn't need a whole lot of sleep. Yeah. And I have to sit there and learn how to meditate. It was harsh. And his other kind of hobby was stone carving.
Tammy took merits. One of them was bundle of energy, and the other one was catnapper. Bundle of energy makes it so you only have to sleep 6 hours instead of 8 hours. And catnapper allows you to take whatever rest you need. So the normally 8 hours, but in her case 6, and divide it across the entire day.
Oh, I took a
So
15-hour power nap.
yeah,
Or, yeah, 15-minute power nap. I'm good.
or I took a 3 hour nap while on horseback. Now I'm gonna take another 3 hour nap, 12 hours from now, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a mean thing for that too. The reason I don't have my character on the list of Overpowered is because where we left off on that campaign, we are on the cusp of him starting to become overpowered. But he's not quite there yet. I could put him in my honorable mentions, but nonetheless. So, some of the stuff that we had done, I think the first one, we should explain Worm. There are demons in the world, but there are also a different type of demon called, that the lycanthrope called Worm. And they are 3 demons, I believe.
There's 3 main ones.
And they basically, their goal is to come to our realm. If they can come to our realm, it's the end of days. They are the opposite of Gaia, which my character became a priest of Gaia, which we'll explain too. So, I think the first one we found was the farm, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
We went to a village and Tammy can sense the worm. And if everyone has it, like, not everyone, sorry, a lot of people can be tainted by the worm without actually being tainted. It's more like how we were trying to, how we were described it and how we learned it and stuff like that was, it's like 0 to 10. And anyone that's innocent or whatever has 0. But there could be 1s and 2s and 3s out there that aren't actually that bad. They could be greedy or, stuff like that. Or some vampires are actually classified as tainted in the 1, 2, 3 area because they feed off of humans. So, that's kind of one of those weird gray areas that some werewolves basically just stopped caring about and would just destroy anything that's tainted. Me and Tammy had gone with the concept that we were sticking with anything that was like 5 and above, or anything that's lower that seems to be being corrupted on a steady form. For example, like we realized that a guy we recently saw as a 1, and now he's a 3. A few weeks later, we'd look into it, and if we can save them, we would save them. We went to a village and we noticed that the food was tainted. We noticed people were tainted, but we noticed that the food was the actual cause of the tainted. So we figured out where they got the food and went to a farm. And holy bejeebus. They were like abominations. And we just basically eradicated them. And the GM was like, okay, this is going to be a tough battle, stuff like that. Tammy just ripped through them all. Like, we had other people in our party. We had our children.
Yeah, I had a set of twin werewolf daughters.
I had
that
my
were
wife.
warrior
I think
cast.
you had your wife.
My wife was not.
No, you're not your wife. No. It was, you had your kid. I think it was a boy.
I had my 2 daughters and my 1 son.
He was
not a combatant.
And I guess that's not the first time we ever met tainted people. That was the first time we ever met tainted people were actually our actual official trial. Way back in the day. And that's actually what set us on this path to actually go after the more corrupt ones. There are a group of werewolves that were corrupt. But yeah, like one of them like had like acid pustules. And I think one of your daughters hit it. And then you just ripped him apart. And like the acid didn't even hurt you. Oh, Tammy's character was just brutal there.
Yeah, in that system, the average person has anywhere from like 2 to 3 in their strength, give or take. They might do up to 4 or 5 points of damage depending on what they're wielding. My character rolled the equivalent of like 12 to 15 damage in one shot. So I mean, you could soak some of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So then I think the next one we actually found was the next uh, worm tainted creature we found was a vampire that was in the dirt, which is a protein ability, which normally is a gangrel thing. But when he popped out of the dirt and we were fighting him, he didn't do any of the other gangrel things that he could do. So we think that he just wasn't used to using protein.
And to be fair, he didn't really have that much time to react.
Well, yeah, it was during the day that you started digging at him.
And then when he finally did pop, he kind of freaked out, bared his fangs, and tried to punch me or claw me or something.
Yeah, he went up. The GM rolled a random chance to figure out which one of the 3 people that were standing around a circle that he had gone after. And he had, just by chance, went after Tammy.
So my character literally went, torso removed from legs.
So Tammy bit him.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, you bit him. Because the GM was making fun of you because he was like, hungry and wanting to feed, and you're like, I'm gonna bite him. She's like, so you're gonna put your head and neck next to the thing that wants to bite you. You're like, yeah. And then you just bit into him and just ripped him apart. And she's like, I guess it didn't matter.
Yeah.
With that one, we also did like werewolf things. Like they believe that they're the superior of all things. But we weren't like that. We were a lot more mellowed down. So we would actually like befriend like a wereox, a were-rat, a were-crow, a were-tiger. Just to name a few. I think you actually had a group of cats in Africa.
Yeah.
That you were friends with. And a couple bears. We actually also went to the top of one of the largest mountains in Asia and found like a hidden city there in which there was like a vampire mage were society, and we became friends with them. We also, in China, we found a village where a demon had basically started controlling it, and we went after that. I remember that one was pretty funny because he actually like put like a shroud of darkness around you, so it would be a one-on-one fight between him and Tammy, and I couldn't enter my the NPC of my wife because my character had a wife. She was a werewolf. Same grouping and stuff. She was actually the one that we went. Everyone that we went to do our trial became our best friends.
Yeah.
And were traveling us for quite a bit of time. One was actually a born wolf. But we couldn't actually do anything, and the guy pulled out his sword and went to go stab Tammy with it, and Tammy just soaked it and moved on. And after the battle, Tammy realized it was a silver sword. And it was something that the GM had done to us. She had given us both high-level merits without letting us know that she had given it to us. So Tammy had found out that she was immune to silver, and I had found out later on that I could step sideways, which is an ability that only werewolves usually have.
Yeah, they can go through a shiny surface to what's known as the Umbra, which is like an underworld, kind of like spirit world, where it's like nature spirits and stuff. And being immune to silver is like huge for a werewolf, considering even just the presence of silver can agitate some.
Yeah.
So
that was interesting. Then we fought. I'm reading the notes that Tammy actually wrote down. We fought a giant lizard.
It was like
in India.
I want to say it was like 12 to 15 feet tall. It was massive. Even in Aslan Beck's big fluffy war form, it was still at least 3 or 4 feet taller than him.
And again, the GM trying to put a challenge against Tammy had made the blood of the lizard acid and had made its skin super durable. And Tammy just ripped through it and was. The GM would be like, roll your soak. Tammy's like, yeah, okay. Rolls her soak. She's like, this makes successes. GM's like, okay, never mind. I would just keep doing it. And like afterwards, she's like, roll your soak. And then after the battle was over, she's like, roll your soak. Tammy's like, what is attacking me? She's like, nothing, apparently. And I'm like, and then she's like, tells me to roll my perception, because I asked if I could roll my perception, because I'm wondering what the heck's going on. And she's like, yes, you can roll your perception. I roll, and she's like, your brother's arms are smoking. I'm like, the blood's acid. So we dealt with that. Oh, that was an amusing one.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were the cannibals in Africa.
Yeah, that whole African trip was just a whole thing on its own. Our character spent probably the equivalent of 50 years because we're taking vampiric blood to Gulas. But it was just a massive trip. We went literally from...
I think it was only 25.
Was it 25? I can't remember. Like I
or
said,
something like that. But yeah, it was a long trip. We went through most of Africa.
Yeah.
But we ran across some ritual happening. We could feel the taint. So we were checking it out from a good distance away. And we just see people with torches. And they basically are sacrificing people and eating them or doing other awful things. So us not putting up with it, I literally notched an arrow, pulled back, and shot. I shot a great distance and nailed the guy right in the freaking, I think it was just chest area.
I think you nearly pinned an arm.
But he wasn't actually dead. And Tammy just basically went full fluffy and just ran. And was just running.
I think it was the equivalent of 120 feet, and I covered it in less than 3 seconds. Or pretty close to 3 seconds.
You covered it. I shot the guy. You started running. I shot the guy again. You were there. So you raced my arrow to the guy and almost won.
So, I mean, just that kind of ridiculous ability. And it didn't get any easier for Rob's character to live up to my character because eventually my character could hurl hot white fireballs.
Yeah.
Or turn his fur into fire.
Near the end of that campaign, Tammy's character got ridiculously powerful, and I still haven't reached my thing. Tammy's character is going to cause problems, but it's not over. It's just we have taken a small break. Nonetheless, a huge event happens where the White Howlers hear about one of the 3 worms actually spawning. And they actually, as a clan, or a tribe, I guess, they actually go down there to stop it. And when they finally succeed, the ones that come up are not White Howlers anymore. They're called Black Spiral Dancers. And the reason they're called that is because their fur is black instead of white now. And the spiral form is because when they actually were going down to actually stop the worm, it actually is a spiral staircase down. So, and it's pretty nasty, but apparently, everyone but a small village and, little people that couldn't do it and stuff like that all went down there. It was awful.
It was literally a massacre. It was, in that case, you were better off just to die if you went down.
Yeah.
But those who had the willpower or had the ability to not go didn't we managed to be in a place where it was next to nearly impossible to go. And luckily we managed to, it took a lot of rolling and a lot of willpower, but we managed to stay.
And actually that was where, in Africa, we found a hidden little temple for Gaia. And we got little vision quests of Gaia and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool. When this whole thing going down, I was like, I'm going to try to contact Gaia, ask her for a vision to see what's going on, and stuff like that, because people weren't giving proper answers. And the GM's like, I'm going to give you a small percent chance. I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to, oh, I got the percentage just on it. So I actually got a vision from Gaia. And she explained to me what was going on and why I should not go. And all this stuff. So after all that was said and done, basically, my character believed so much at that point in time that he was definitely a priest of Gaia and would actually go around and give sermons to everybody, explain to them, this grand, what Gaia, why Gaia doesn't want us to go. And yeah, I had to roll for those, and I kept critically succeeding those.
It helped that we had a background called purebreed, which meant that we held, when dealing with other werewolves, you held a higher status. So he got like 5 extra dice to his rolls, which was what really saved both of us in the end.
Yeah, I got like 15 successes, which normally 3 is a pass. I got 15 for, my sermons. So people were like hugely accepting of what I was saying. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. Is there anything else you want to state about that one?
Not particularly. I mean, he was pretty badass. Still is, obviously. Eventually, when we get back to that.
Yeah.
Just not a whole lot of things are gonna live.
With that one, when he churns, he also has white fur. My character's wife, she has white fur when she churns, but when she's actually human, she has normal hair. That was a lot of us talking about that one. So I'm going to quickly go over one of mine, and then I think we're going to have to end this one and do 21 as another video. The other one I have is called Ether and
Lena.
The reason I had to actually wait for Tammy to respond is because it's theoretically her character, but not. The two of them I created. Ether goes by lots of names. He's a mage ghoul who actually was a guard in Enoch. And Tammy, the character that Lena, was something I was creating for Tammy to actually play, but then they became NPCs. But that one is a saber-tooth, tiger, lycanthrope, mage.
Ghoul.
Yeah. I think mine was a hunter as well.
Yes.
So, and they basically just traveled the world. Yeah, later on, they start traveling more. But they travel the world and basically just do whatever, get blood from vampires who are either unaware or making them pay taxes in blood. And stuff like that. I remember using them in one of my other campaigns when I was GMing. He was like basically doing a protection ring, and like he would get them to pay him money in blood and stuff like that. And yeah, they started traveling because they were both mages. They started traveling time and space. And their vehicle would be appropriate to wherever the time period would be in. And it would be like a TARDIS. It's not. I did not use the word TARDIS, and when I made it, I did not think of TARDIS, but it's the concept that it's got a trunk that you put like a bag of holding is what I actually originally thought. So I think that's the short end because I've used them a lot, but again I've used them in a weird way where they're just NPCs. So I'm not going to go into great details about them. So I think that is this video. You have nothing else you want to
add? No, not for the characters we went over.
Okay, my horde. Don't take any headshots.